What is it now? Is that serious?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it and it would say Whataburger, but it's pronounced Whataburger.
Whataburger.
We're talking about Texas trash here. It's Jave and Andy here from Two Dudes Reviews, hanging out with Jordan and Josh and Chico from the Black Moods. Jordan, you're the newcomer, right?
That is correct.
What are you thinking so far? I mean, has it been kind of a trip joining a band that's been doing this for a bit?
Yeah. I went from like 0 to 60 in like, what was it? Overnight. You know what I mean? I moved from, they asked me to join the band. I moved from LA, and then like pretty much that was a year ago, and here we are. You know what I mean? Like we didn't stop for a year.
Yeah.
So.
And Josh, this has been kind of a childhood dream of yours to be in the
live in a van with two grown adult men.
That's
the dream.
Something like that. No, I mean, you grew up on the East Coast and
I was
a big
Midwest.
fan. Okay, Midwest. I consider anything east of the Rockies like East Coast, right?
Hence the word coast.
Right. But you were a big fan of Gin Blossoms.
Absolutely.
And then came out here to kind of like
Stalk them.
the birthplace.
Yeah.
Tell me about how eye-opening that has been for you through the span of your career with the Black Moods and doing what you're doing.
It's been cool. It's this is kind of the motherland for me as far as like my favorite bands. Growing up in the Midwest and to come out here and see the Gin Blossoms or the Refreshments or Dead Hot Workshop and to be friends with those guys now after like 13-year-old me would be freaking out all the time. But it worked out. I got to meet Chico and. We just kind of grew up in their studio that they had, and here we are. That's all I know, man. It's amazing. Like to have the weather's really good too.
as we all sit here in parkas, because while it is Arizona, it's cold.
Desert cold.
It's cold. And so what's next? Where do you go from here? You just came back from tour. What do you guys got on the forefront here? What's on the horizon?
Well, we're going to release another single and just tour. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up, tours that we're waiting for them to be solidified. But that's it, just to tour our brains out and get in the studio when we can.
Tunes, yeah, write some tunes.
How do you feel about that, Chico?
I love writing tunes and touring.
Yeah, maybe less tire changing this next time.
Now,
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've seen the video. By the way, take a look. We'll post a link of the tire changing video, which is very, very funny. With that was just a spur of the moment thing. Who did the voiceover on that? Because it sounds like it's definitely effective.
Oh, probably Dom, our videographer. He's pretty creative at that kind of stuff.
Very funny.
Yeah.
The single is called Belladonna, the current single. You guys have gotten some radio love from that. But from what I understand,
thank you for that, by the way. Appreciate that.
And this is not your first at bat. You guys have had a couple of albums out before Belladonna hit as a radio hit. And you approached this new stuff a little differently, at least as far as bringing in a producer and somebody to kind of crack the whip. And a lot of bands don't really enjoy when a producer, when the fourth member of the band comes in and says, no, that sucks. Yeah. No, you got to take that out.
I get it harder than everybody else does, too.
Would you do it again looking forward when you're ready to go in the studio and write and record another album?
Yeah, definitely. Because like having that other element come in and tell you, but it's a hard pill to swallow because... it's kind of like raising a kid for 5 years, and then somebody comes in that you just met, and they're like, "Your name's Frank." It's like, that's not my kid's name. Yeah. So that is kind of a hard thing to deal with, but it really helped the songs grow and mature. And but I think going into the next batch of songs, and when we go into the studio, we have more confidence in our writing. So. We'll be a little more combative and stand our ground a little bit, just because, we know we don't like listening to shit.
Yeah.
Or playing it.
Was there a lesson that you learned hanging out with your idols and actually working with them in the Gin Blossom, something that stuck out that you've kind of pulled through into the Black Moods and said, oh, the guys in Gin Blossoms told me, don't do this.
No, we learned what not to do by hanging out with all the, they've been through the ringer, and we're just like, communication's a big deal, and us, we can we fight and we'll scream at each other, and then they're like, hey, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So we're pretty, like, we've learned, you know, staying together is the toughest thing that bands have to deal with. And, you know, we check our egos at the door and we all treat each other the same. And we're all working towards the same goal. So we know that, you know, and we've learned through that.
What do you-
the bands break up and that.
What
kind
do you
of
think Josh Vindication looks like? Where you've gone like, oh, man, I'm finally getting the respect that I've worked so hard for my entire life.
I don't know. When you start getting played in your hometown, that would be cool.
Okay. It's weird. You know, rock radio, there's just... it's a tough climate out there. There's not a lot of markets that have a great rock station that will champion.
Take a chance, or
take a chance on something that's not trendy and that's not safe and that's a little, whether it's throwback or whatever. So I kind of feel your pain, man.
yeah, but it's cool. I mean, we're just going to work as hard as we can, and you know, eventually it'll come around. But
Yeah.
we don't hold any grudges or anything like that. We're just like we're in Chicago as much as we are here nowadays. So it's or St. Louis or anything like that. So it's cool. It's just nice to come back home and you know. I'd like to hear it on the radio. Actually, we were doing radio in the morning. At there's a station in town that's playing us. you
Okay.
know, so it's good.
Who is that?
93.9?
Yeah.
Is that it? KWSS?
KWSS. All right.
Yeah.
So
They champion a lot of,
go
like,
patronize
local
those
stuff. Yeah,
folks.
there you go.
Because
They're
they're
good people.
doing the right thing. Belladonna, when I first heard the title of the song, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I had friends tell me about the drug Belladonna. Listening to the song, looking at the video, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this might be about a girl, not necessarily a drug that was, you know, hit back in the 60s and 70s. Which is it?
Well, we didn't know it was a drug until we actually did a couple of shows with Robbie Krieger. And so when we went out, when we got the song done and we were...
Robbie Krieger knows about drugs?
Yeah, surprise, right? Well, and that's because he's really great to us. And so I just hit him up and sent him the song. And I was like, you know, can we get a quote from you for our one sheet of this kind of thing? And he sent, what did he send over? He was like, Belladonna was one of our favorite drugs to do in the 60s. The vocals are good too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on everything. By the way, we're drinking out of the Black Moods wine glasses here. And
Shameless acts of self-promotion.
And now for something completely different. What the hell inspired you to make wine? I mean, you know, trying to have a rock band with a hit single on the radio is tough enough. You said, let's, you know, bite off another.
Let's make wine.
Something. Let's make wine.
It actually kind of just fell in our lap. A friend of ours said, you know, they got a winery and they would like to, you know, make a wine for us. So we did, and we just came out with the song Belladonna, and it just kind of worked. I wish we had the label here so we could show it, but the artwork on it.
Label.
Does somebody know where the label is?
We'll grab a label.
It's a compounded label.
That silly bottle.
Where's the compound?
Yeah, we're not big on wine until lately, and since we get free bottles now, we drink them all the time.
I was gonna ask. Were you
charging me for it? What are you talking about?
I was gonna
wait,
ask. Are you guys? I mean, have you been wine fans? You know, prior to this, or is that just a product of? what you do?
Boone's Farm is one of my favorites. It's really classy
Mad
wine.
Dog 2020. Every once in a while.
Mad Dog 2020.
So, do you have any input as to the way they make the wine, or are you just kind of taking? Well, what's
we
that
got to
process?
try it. We sat there, and I think you're supposed to spit some of it out, but
That's for amateurs. The amateurs spit it out.
Yeah, we sat down and we did a wine tasting, and we did a whole bunch. And this is the first one we're going to do. We're going to do several. So this is a blend that came out, and I think it's really good.
It's tasty. I'm drinking it.
Cool.
It's good.
likes wine too.
Yeah, I'm a wine fan.
I was going to say, we
James
started
Wine.
off as a video channel doing wine reviews, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Andy. Review this wine and begin.
View this wine.
Ready for this?
Oh, now I'm on the spot. No, you know what? It's got a good fruity nose. I don't know. I haven't read anything about the appellation or any of that, and quite honestly, I'm not that good at wine. I know I like wine or I don't. It's earthy, it's jammy, it's whatever. But as far as is it good enough to drink? Yeah, I like it.
Well, and that's that.
Anyone who's ever watched our videos knows, right? Tastes like wine. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And by the way, one of the hot chicks are over here somewhere. The one that says, "Tastes like wine."
She's in the house. But, yeah.
Tastes like wine.
Yeah, her,
That's our favorite line from her reviews is, "Oh, tastes like wine."
yeah.
Well,
pretty much.
I don't know about you, but I think you guys should start a band called Fruity Nose.
I like it.
And with KNOWS.
Which instrument would you play?
Oh, you guys know what I play.
Can we not give you one to play? I thought you were like, which one should he play?
Yeah, which one should he play?
The Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel. I'm a master. Glockenspiel.
Do
player.
it.
We're going to have a little fun here. These guys are going to play acoustic. It's the Black Moods. Check out Belladonna. We'll include the link here in this video. I'm Jave. He's Andy at Two Dudes Reviews.